Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm sure people will start joining us once we get going. It's nice to see you on here. I can see some names, which is good to see you here. Well done. And we have Givenchy this week, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me share. Admit. Okay, let's put this to slideshow. Oh, funny enough, let me just get back to the beginning. Okay, so Givenchy this week, well, this month. As you may have seen, we did Fashion Week. So Fashion Weeks are all happening at the moment. Even I was doing a bit of drawing today, in reflection to the Dior exhibition, the Dior show, which I thought was fascinating. I think Prada was good as well. So the Givenchy. So let's see who we have first. Um, Kahori. I don't know if Kahori's here, but um, Kahori is sort of, I think, was a member at the beginning or was part of the awards and is now joining in and is finding some time. Um, I guess being quite expressive and playful with colouring pencils. I guess a lot of you've been down many journeys with your drawings. But on the right hand side of my screen, the red with the white and the black is quite a nice idea. Has a a big feeling of Valentino, so you should watch out about that sort of red color. We're thinking of brands with them reds, Christian Louboutin and a variety of brands with the red. So when we think of red, do we associate red so much with Givenchy? So think about the DNA of a brand when you're doing stuff. I quite like the group drawings as well, and this sort of backstage drawing. And I like this idea of black, red, and white. It has a sense of newspaper drawing for the news, so it gives that sense of feeling. But really, really nice drawings, and I think they're quite interesting to see. And I can see you testing, and I know Kahori's uh, posts a lot online, drawings on LinkedIn. And I don't know a lot of you are if you're using LinkedIn. I see some of you there, but not many of you. So just a little bit of awareness. I think LinkedIn has become a bit of a space as well for sharing work. So just think about LinkedIn as an option. So Kahori, well done. Good. I think this is the first time you've done it. Um, Tamio, I put you second this time because I know you're up late. So yeah, so I'm going to play your little animation. Hopefully it plays. Good. And Tamio, did you do that all was that done in Procreate or in Photoshop?
Hello. Yeah,
Uh,
I did everything in Photoshop and the animation in After Effects.
okay. Okay, good. So it'd be nice. I like the line drawing part of it. When the image just fades in, I think in After Effects you probably can get a better effect for almost like a mask to bring that in because I think you've used the mask for the pencil line, haven't you? I'm guessing.
Sorry.
Did you use a mask for the line to bring in the draw?
Yeah, yeah, a mask. Yeah.
Yeah, so you should use that maybe a little bit more for the watercolor for the actual dress. I think thinking about how do you create a watercolor effect that feels a little bit more interesting than just a fade in. And I know that's a tough one. So I think maybe you could when you're painting some watercolors, maybe do a bit of a stop frame animation and see how that works.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you make a mark, photograph it, make another mark, photograph it, let that effect bleed, and see if that stop frame animation could feed in quite nicely with the after effects. Because I think the fading isn't as good as the line drawing, and I think that line drawing is really nice. I think that's a good effect. It would be good to see you doing a little bit more drawing like that, like animation wise. I think that's a nice animation approach. And also, Tamio, which was quite nice, I'm going to put it up, is you sent me some live event drawing options, which was quite good. So it's nice to see you actually drawing live, and it's only taken us a year for us to convince you. But you're there, which is good. So I'm happy to see and see. I think I've got some. I'm starting to get contacts in Japan. So let's watch this space from Hiroshi Tanabe, and I've got a friend who's coming to Japan this year. They're moving there. Anna Kim. You might have seen her drawings backstage for London Fashion Week. I don't know if you have watched. Have you ever seen Anna Kim's work, Tamio?
Anakin?
Anna
Mm,
Kim. I'll send you a link to her work.
okay,
But
thank you.
she drew for our casting with Tracy Smith. So there was two of them that were doing the casting, and she was one of them. So
Maybe I might have seen her work here
yeah,
online. Yeah, maybe.
she's moving to Japan.
Oh, she's moving. Wow.
Yes, from London. She's a lecturer. Like, I was her one of her tutors many years ago, and she's really good. And I mentored her to go to the Royal College as well. So she's a really good asset, and she's very like vibrant and bubbly. So she'd be quite good as a contact to think about
Oh,
for
yeah.
live events and activations. And we'll have another sort of FIDA member with you, which would be nice.
Oh, cool. I'll get
Yeah.
in touch with her. Oh,
You'll be in touch with her. I'll hook you up to together, which is nice. But yes, so Tamio, using the black background is very, I guess, gives a sense of digital and very screen based. And you've been doing lots of drawing with pen and brushes and stuff like that. So there's some really nice stuff coming out. What as a sort of a challenge now, are you doing much outreach to anyone? So obviously I do outreach. Do you do any outreach to people showing your work or getting feedback or anything to get new work? Have you been trying anything?
I'm trying kind of local, but yeah, it's a bit hard. Yeah.
Are you asking for financial return or are you just offering your services or what's happening?
Sometimes I give it as a kind of gift, just of kind of free.
Yep. And what's the
Yeah.
feedback? Do they say, well, we're not sure or we'll get back to you or
Yes. Sometimes I'll give it as a gift and they say, oh, thank you, it's very nice. But
but does it happen? Has it happened? Has anything happened or they just say we'll get back to you?
yeah, but then nothing really happens.
Nothing
Yeah.
really happens. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just a bit of advice. The reason why I bring this up is because ju just an example. Um, we've got this project with Patrick Cox, and I don't know if you've seen the project that's coming
Oh,
up.
yeah, yeah.
And Patrick Cox he was one of the most famous designers, British, well, he's a Canadian American designer. He was selling nearly 250,000 pairs of shoes a year. So he was a serious designer. And it took me nearly 2 years to get him to do something. So, when I talk to you about like persistence and keep going, it took 3 years for Hiroshi Tanabe to let me interview him.
I
So,
see.
so I've just given you the example of, when we're trying to do projects and make things happen, it takes constant. asking, 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 and it feels like you're annoying them, but you're not. You're just reminding them. Yeah. So I think this is a tip for everybody on here is having a bit of courage. So, a nice thing to see, like I'm just looking at some of the people on here, like Kaz is on here, who I always thought was as quiet as a mouse, and then she came to Fashion Scout, and was drawing Diego, who's one of the most well-known hairdressers for London fashion. He does Dior, he does lots of things. These are great contacts. And I think putting yourself right in that face of things happening is really important. And you just got to do it. And when we talk about Kaz's work, I'm going to get her to talk and maybe show her face. We'll see if we're lucky. But Tamio, what I'm saying is you've got to persist. You have to keep going 1,000%. Yeah.
Yes.
I want,
Yeah.
I want, I want results because I think you've got to a point now where you've got a bit of a style. Now you need to find brands that are local or because local is easy for you to communicate with and say, okay, I'd love to do some digital animations. That is how I got Zorna. I contacted Zorna on Instagram and, we had a conversation and contact Zorna again, reach out to them. So I'd love to do some more animations. It just gets you a bit more PR. I just see it as PR. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I want to see because it was really nice to see you doing all that Zorna work, and it was great. And potentially I think in time, other people see, oh, I like that. That's good. I want a bit of that. And we're seeing fashion and illustration becoming so important now with advertising. I think it's quite important. So Tamio, I think really start getting things to happen. I want to see it happen now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Agata. I don't know if Agata's here, but really
You're
interesting style.
sorry, I think you're showing maybe the wrong screen, or we don't. We see
Ah,
the with the side.
let me do it again. I'll stop sharing. Let me. Uh, what's happened here? Which screen are you seeing? Just my desktop.
The one with Selma. It's Selma's work, and it's on the side. It's all the
Ah, okay. Let me
slides.
let me just stop sharing it. Let me see this. Can you see the first slide?
No, well, maybe it's frozen on my side then.
What about the others? Anybody else? Can you see? Did you see Tamio's animation?
No, I don't think so.
Tamio, did you see your animation?
No, actually not because yeah, but yeah, I knew
Ah, you
which
didn't
one was
say
mine.
it. Ah, okay. Let me
Okay,
just
now it's okay.
let
Oh
me
yeah.
let me no, because I want people to watch it because let's see what happened there. Because I think I let someone in and then I don't know what happened. Um, let's go to Zoom. Slideshow, and then I'll stop sharing. Right, is it back to me?
Yes.
Okay. I think when I let you in, Kaz, I don't know what happened. It kind of crashed.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it. Let's try again. Now, are we at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go through that bit again. So I was talking about Kahori. So this was the first one I was talking about. So it might make sense now when I was talking about the red. And then Tamio's is here, and this is her animation.
Mm.
So using a bit of After Effects. Nice. Okay, and then next is Agata. Everyone can see this? Kaz?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so Agata, really interesting mark making. Some I like this sort of like it almost feels quite rushed and fast, which give that spontaneous feel. And I think this would be good for editorial work. I'm always trying to think, where's the work going to be used? How could it be used? And these would be really nice editorially. And just thinking about, look at like Warhol's drawings of shoes. There's lots of people who've drawn shoes, and I don't feel enough illustrators draw products. And it's the one thing where, if you look through the history of like a lot of fashion illustrators getting commissioned work for ballet, all these brands, you'll see they mainly draw shoes. So there's a lot of work financially, paid work, which will be about shoes. So shoes or products is always a good one. People, they tend to want to get photography more. They do still use it, but products is always a great one for getting commissioned work. And then Lana's here, and we saw you, Lana, at.
Hi, yeah, yeah, I'm
Hello,
here.
Lana. We saw you. So, if you'd like to explain your process, because you're new to the group, and your thought process as well.
Yes, so both of these illustrations have a bit of hand-drawn textures and then digital finishing. I'm most of the time like to have my like how can I say, like a small like library of textures that I experiment with paint, color pencils, and everything, and then I just assemble depending on the color palette. So the right one was inspired by McQueen time at Givenchy. So it's very like I wanted to add like a bit of this mood of chaos, almost like.
Yeah,
And the left one, a bit similar mood. There was a very interesting dress. I don't remember the year exactly, but it's all like volume and texture, lots of colorful lines, like and flying threads flying everywhere. Um, so yeah, I was part of Fida 2 year ago or year and a half ago,
yeah,
and I was only able to do one fashion series, which was Louis Vuitton.
yeah,
I took a year, experimented, worked on my portfolio, did all possible work, and I felt like I wanted to come back with this like fresh perspective. And
yeah. Which is good. And I guess because we try what we try to do when we do these sort of meetups is not only look at the work artistically, but also what's the commissioning value? Where would you take this more? So you've got a very, what I would call a very graphic style, which kind of combines, it feels like some of it's almost like woodblock printing. And then you've got this almost really bright, but your work is very graphic. And, even with your dog at the
Mhm.
exhibition was really graphic. And I think, you go for these really strong blues, almost like Yves Klein. And, I get this feeling of blue. Um, and I'd be looking at, if it's me and I'm trying to think of, because a lot of the illustrators will do a multitude of work. And I feel like, have you looked at any, because book covers, because you have this graphic style and it feels quite narrative based. I think, you could even think of book covers that could link into some sort of fashion story, like even like The Devil Wears Prada. How could you
Mhm.
draw a book cover for The Devil Wears Prada? And that's the sort of challenge I would give myself if I was you, because you have this graphic style and this combination of techniques. Um, if you look at a lot of the graphic book covers, I used to have a tutor at the Royal College who he did lots of graphic novels and would have these amazing covers, which had a very similar vibe. And they had this sort of black as well. So you tend to like black in your work as a sort of backdrop. and then
Yeah, I do like the contrast, almost like this luminous effect of the blue, and like worked be more like on a more intense side. And it's very interesting you mentioned book covers because I did recently two for Joy Publishing here in the UK, and it was dog and cat, was about pets. But what they noticed and why they chose my work was because of the scribbly lines on the sweater of one of the dogs in my portfolio. So it kind of like pushed me to experiment more and apply it to like fashion.
yeah, they love like mark making for book covers, like scribbles, and they like block work mixed with like mark making. It really attracts the viewer. And I feel this one that's multicolored has a sense of almost could be like for plays or for the theatre. And then if you think of like Toulouse-Lautrec, the posters he made. So I'd be thinking of like cabaret, any events that could be happening where there's some sort of posters to do with any, the circus, Cirque du Soleil. These are all things that you could potentially do because they're very graphic and they need posters. And posters is still a commanding area where it's quite nicely paid. So book covers and posters, I'm really thinking about because you kind of fit that you frame them. If you look at your images, they're always framed within the box. And that's a very big sign of someone who is considering posters or graphics. And I think it would be interesting to see what typography you would do on top of this. So I'd even use these two and think, how would I put typography if this was a book related to some story to Givenchy, the life of so one could be to do with the Alexander McQueen period. So this book would be Alexander McQueen Givenchy, and then yeah, so you could do maybe it could be a book cover related to that period of time, and then when you listen to agents and art directors, what they want to see is quite easily in Photoshop, you can add these to a book cover with your typography, and then they can see, this book, I can imagine this as a book or as a poster. Go around London, photograph some walls with posters on them and replace them with your posters. So people don't need to imagine. And I can imagine these in London, they'd be amazing. Like, especially the multicolored one, for an event to do with some sort of theatre act or something like that. Easily that could be a great piece. And it has all these like mark making and it really like captures the imagination of the viewer. Them big red lips. Obviously, you're using theatre and cinema. If we think of like film noir, you're using them dramatic lights, like the dramatic shadows. So, and then you could think about Alfred Hitchcock films. So you could start illustrating films like cinema and start applying your skill to that. So, as this is your first time, it's really thinking about how do you expand the work that you do to become something where it gets you work, gets you commissions, and then you go on to do great stuff. And fashion is the area that sort of triggered it. That's the way I see it.
No, that's amazing. Thank you. I love theater, huge fan. And I never thought about it, to be honest. It's kind of like I never put two together. Now
Yeah,
that you
so
mention, I see it, especially like in the
you
colorful
can
one.
see it, yeah. And I think it would be really nice to pick a few plays, pick a few things that you want to do, and then and tie them into this and that sort of dramatic pose and very fashionable because people love the idea of like theatre to have a bit of fashion to it. They love that fashiony look, so they kind of weave quite nicely into each other. All
And
right.
in London or in the UK, you would say usually branding agencies work with this. What would be the like who hires for posters, theater companies, like
I
PR,
contact theatre companies. So you've got the National Theatre, you've got the Roundhouse, you've got I when I was a student, I even contacted the plays that happened. So I remember doing. There used to be I can't remember. They made music from rubbish, And I remember
Mm-hmm.
contacting them, and I designed a few posters. I screen printed some posters for them, um, and that's how you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying to Tamio as well, is you have to be persistent. And I think, the biggest problem illustrators will have, and we talk about AI as well, is you have to get there and network. If from sending some people that I know to Fashion Scout, I've contacted three people that have spoke to me and they've got work already. So People Please Salad, the people who made all the food, they commissioned one of my students who was a photographer. In that space, there's so many people there and so much discussion. Um, she got two jobs in 1 week from that experience, and just being there and drawing. And we got a commission in LA for an event like from an influencer. So the influencers are commissioning work as well. So all these characters that you kind of meet while you're there, you have to really attack them. We had one person who was there who was with us, Bar Percy, and I know Kaz saw her as well. She was chasing people around Fashion Scout. I've never seen anything like it in my life, but she was getting the results, and you were there for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but if people come to Fashion Scout, I don't think they realize there's people there like even Aliona who was there. She illustrated someone who's now potentially wants to do a perfume brand with her, and he had 500,000 followers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she
Amazing.
illustrated. He shared it on her He shared her work on his platform, and he was a big influencer. Like, think of all. That's the way. That's how you get work. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's these opportunities, going there, drawing, sharing your work, and I think that's going to be a big thing we're going to push further now for Fashion Scout is really getting the illustrators to integrate more with, because before they stood back and drawn, but now we're going to, after seeing Bar Percy, I've never seen that, and even like when I saw everyone up their game. This was the first time I've seen it, and it was great to watch because usually the illustrators sit back and they work in a corner. But this time they were really interactive. It was so much nicer. So it was good. So hopefully we'll see you there next time, Lana.
Yeah, definitely.
It was
It was
it was
the,
good.
the first time.
Did you enjoy it? It was kind of stressful, but
Yes, it was very interesting, and it was the first time drawing like fashion on location for me. So I didn't know what to expect and what to do. Very different like setup, and very interesting experience. I did enjoy it a lot.
yeah, and I think
And
after a
mhm,
day, you get used to it, and then you just get on with it. You
yeah,
need the 2 or 3 days to really get in there and grapple with it. And by day two, everyone transforms their process and gains a bit more courage. So anyway, good.
thank you.
Um, Panida Vath. I'm not too sure how to say this name, but really, I put this as the main illustrator. I thought this almost reminded me of something quite old school. I like the composition of it, and there's some really interesting composition. I love. We had Poppy Wadilove give a talk on one of our education courses, and she was told by a lot of art directors draw the environment, and it's something that I really spoke to a lot of the illustrators about, is creating a narrative within a space. The environment is just as important as the character, so really thinking about environments. And I think with that particular one I really like, and I love these other little drawings, and the technique's really interesting, but this one particularly, like all the details, the hands, it has a very, there's Elizabeth Payton, a really well-known painter. There's some really great illustrators and artists, and this really taps into it. So I really love this piece. So well done, and I thought a real good selection of drawings. Iona is not here. It has a very classical, almost kind of Dior-esque feel to this sort of Givenchy drawing. I just think with regards to, it's nice that the dress has lots of detail. Is I'd like to see that foot a little bit longer. Um, and I'm always reluctant to do that line in the eye. I think of a different thing because it's very fashion designer led. So fashion designers tend to do these faces with lines. So I tend to say it's not really as enjoyed from a fashion illustrator point of view, more as a fashion designer. So think about how you approach the face and if you're going to draw the face or not draw the face or whatever it is, just think about the details and also varying the line that you do on your drawing. Think about mark making, like we just spoke with Lana. Valia, I don't think Valia's here. Yeah, interesting Valia. I thought these were really nice. I think what you need to backtrack a little bit is I would take the logos out and see how they work without the logo. I think the logo is becoming a bit too important for the composition. So how do they work without? I really like the mannequin. I think the mannequin's really nice. I think there's something really interesting and some interesting details. I'd probably like to learn more about your approach and technique to drawing this. And then the one on the left with the floral, it reminds me of old Gucci. Um, which is quite nice. And I'm just trying to think about your referencing because you're kind of if you look at your hand that you've drawn, it has a very interior design style of drawing, and then the face has a more of illustration. So you're kind of mixing drawing uh, approaches. So maybe you have to think about how do I draw them hands that they feel more like a fashion illustration rather than they're like what how I'd imagine an interior design to draw product design. So you're kind of mixing styles. So think about style. I think that's the when I'm looking at your work, I can see a lot of mixing of approaches because graphic design and all the different elements are kind of coming into it. So the way that you approach it, just really think about your drawing approach. But both really nice. Kaz.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Kaz. So I guess we have a few people here tonight, and I think what's quite nice. Firstly, your experience of Fashion Week, I thought was you did amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you really you rose up to the experience, and I think and you had a really nice piece in the exhibition, and it all sort of came together, which was great. And uh, my thoughts are there was an illustrator we had called yeah, Margarita, and she's just had an exhibition in Spain. I posted it today. Did you see it?
Yeah. In
So
Portugal. Yeah.
she reminds me of you. Her job is in finance, and like you were telling me, your job's in engineering, and she's been doing this for years, and I think you've got to a point now where your next move is to have an exhibition of your own, and invite us or invite whoever. But I think you need to now get out there collect a collection of drawings that you have because you've got some really nice drawings now, and I feel that it's the right time for you to think about how could you exhibit it, how could you curate it, and these would work really. Think about the space. I can really imagine somewhere not so gallery like. I don't think a gallery is necessarily the right place. I'm just thinking like the Ivy. Have you been to the Ivy?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere like the Ivy. I remember the Ivy came to my exhibition when I had an exhibition, and they wanted to buy a piece of my work for the Ivy. And unfortunately, the deal didn't go through, but they really wanted to buy a big drawing of mine. And I'm just thinking about the Ivy, like they like small drawings, and I think somewhere like that sort of restaurant-y but quite cool people there, the Groucho Club, something like that. that vibe, rather
Yeah.
than a boring gallery. I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
don't think they'll. I don't know. We see a lot of the fashion illustrator showing it at the Edition, maybe the Ned,
Hmm.
places like that are a little bit off kilter, and maybe you could think, what could you tie into your work to? Because I think it we're kind of there, and I think what you really need to do is get a response from the outside world now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to build up that courage, get maybe 20 to 25 pieces, frame them. Uh, as long as you get your money back, you go for the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than I'm going to make loads of money, because everyone goes a bit crazy when they're selling art. As long as you kind of cover your costs, that's enough for the first time round. And I think that's a really good approach for it. And how would, little postcards that you could give to people as gifts, really think about, see it also as a way of networking and
Hmm.
also a way of maybe getting new commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes I used to have an exhibition and not really worry about selling, really worry about what new commissions I was going to get. Because most of the commissions will be more money than you're going to get for selling your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the exhibitions, would it be the original piece or like a
I
print?
think you should sell the originals, but
Hmm.
you could offer people prints, but prints, how much are you going to make for a print? Say if it was between 90 and 150 for a young artist, for a Giclée print or something like that. Once you start going into the 200s, 250s, you're now competing against David Downton and all them people. So we have to work out a market rate, but you can outdo that. I've sold prints for a lot more, but you just need to think, or you find out a bit more about, because you have that sort of technique, could it become an etching, and you go and do there's Print Club London, you go and do a course in etching or litho printing and learn a little bit and then do some really nice prints, and then you could command more money and you'll learn something.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a nice thing for you to do, because you've got that watercolory approach. Because I don't think it would work as a screen print, it's too harsh, but I think it would work nicely as an etching or a lithograph. Yeah, so they're the two, not a lino cut, it's a lithograph.
Okay.
So where you draw on a stone.
Yeah.
So there's, I think that's where I would be heading. And you've got really, I think stylistically you're there. You don't need to do too much more. We just need to wrap it up and get you to think about an exhibition. So a good challenge for you is from now till Christmas is
Yeah.
start planning an exhibition.
Yeah.
That could be for the new year, but at least you could start planning it.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good, excellent, Kaz, and brilliant fashion scout. I was well impressed.
Thank you.
Nina's not here. Um, Nina, very dramatic, and we spoke about these painterly styles. Just be watching out, because I don't know how you're cleaning up your artwork. It looks like you're using like the magic wand tool and either deleting or using effects. Just be aware of, people will notice stuff like that. And I see some interesting textures, really interesting compositions, and I feel that there's something that's very cinematic. Um, but I feel it needs the environment, because this could work good as a sort of a scene from a movie. So I think, how where does this go? What's it going to do? And where are you going to get new work? That's what I want to see, Nina. So Nina, when you communicate with me, just think about, where's this work going to live, and what's its role? Because it could be almost an artwork for a piece of cinema. It could be a poster or something, or a series. So just think about that, Nina. Selma, you can put your thumb up or talk if you want to talk. I can see you on here. Yeah, so just regarding your work, this is a very dreamy piece. I think there's a lot of drama there, And I've always been talking about you experimenting and playing, and I can see some sort of details, lots of movement and animation. I'm guessing it's done in Procreate, so I think it's done in Procreate. But yes, a really nice piece, and you know, I think this sort of mannequin piece, where what I want to think for you, because I know you've been experimenting, is where is this work going to go and where's it going to end up? It feels like a piece that could be promotional pieces for an auction. So if someone was selling this garment, I remember many years ago I used to go through Christie's auction pages and looking at the mannequins and the fashion pieces and just learning how to draw them. And I know that seems quite sad, but I think this piece reminds me of it. And I did some mannequins for Dior, which then went on to scarves and stuff like that. And I can kind of see a little bit of what you're doing here. And I really love like the little details of paint down the bottom. Has a very good painterly feel, but I'd like to know, in time, where do you think you want this to go? And it's a big thing factor is when I'm trying to think about work that I make. Um, I was doing some drawings today. I might be able to pick them off the floor and show you. But I was doing some drawings, and I just thought they were just drawings. So they're drawings really for me to experiment and learn. And I can see you go through these journeys of these little drawings. Would this be in a book? Would it be in a catalog? Would it be in a brochure? Could it go with something? Yeah, so I could really imagine, Christie's or Sotheby's is doing an exhibition promoting these garments for Givenchy, and these are the representational pieces for them, design pieces, and then a little photograph underneath, and maybe these could be sold prints with it. So I think, Selma, that's me using my imagination, but trying to think where it could go more. Because as a fine art print, it would be, I guess, if you painted it in reality on canvas using oil, because I don't think it would be as with acrylic, you would get that sort of blending as much. Trying it with pastels could be an option. So, and then that might then lead into, because you've done that sort of darkish background. So I think it could be nice. And this sort of fish gill glittery thing is really nice. But well done, Selma. Um, Susanna Gomez. Yeah, really interesting. Reminds me of Christopher Philly. I don't know if you know Christopher Philly. He's a really famous British painter. And when I saw this profile, I saw straight away it was Christopher Philly, and it was nice. I don't know if you need that big white background. All I can see is the white background, and it's a shame because the actual profile and the coloring on the head is really nice. And have a look at Christopher Philly because he uses these inspiring different colors and he's really interesting. So I think from that point of view, it would be nice to see you kind of think about that. All right, so Susanna, really nice. You do not need that white background. I would just do it plain on plain color background. So thanks everybody. I know we've had the chaos of London Fashion Week, um, and it'd be nice, Selma, if you ever want to come to London Fashion Week. I think Tamio, it's maybe a bit too far for you, but maybe
One day.
I think Tamio, what you could do is maybe illustrate some more of the drawings from Fashion Scout, because I think next year, in February, we're gonna like look at illustrating more of Fashion Scout because I want to take up bigger spaces in Fashion Scout. So really thinking about, and we're getting lots of good feedback now. So just yes, good. That's what I like to see. A big heart, Selma. I'm looking forward to February. Uh, it, if you speak to Kaz, if you can, and you and Selma can talk. I don't know if you've ever spoken to Selma, but go. You're very similar characters, as in you're very shy and quiet, and I think it would be nice for you to contact each other. And Kaz, you might be able to give Selma a little boost.
Yep. That's
Yeah?
Cody X, right?
Cody X.
Yep.
So please do communicate with each other, because it's nice for us to help each other. And I feel, Kaz, you were amazing at Fashion Scout. I was so impressed.
Yeah, thank you.
And you know it genuinely, and you know, to go from someone who's so quiet and then to get right in there is great. And Selma is exactly the same. So Selma, if Kaz can do it, you can do it. So Selma, I'm going to see you next Fashion Scout, which will definitely. And Tamio, if we can get you there somehow, we'll pray.
Okay.
Right. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. And it's been great after Fashion Week, and there's lots going on. And my advice to everybody is look at the shows. If you can draw one of the two shows that that are happening at the moment, have a look at the shows. We should be really covering them more. But we've been doing Fashion Week. London Fashion Week took so much out of us. So really, just thinking about what's been happening in Paris. Drawing, I did some drawings today, and I think everybody should be drawing, so get on with it as much as I am. All right, so I'll see you soon. Also, we've got the Bow Harbour competition. Please do enter, it's free. They then commission you work. Not only there's a good winning prize, but also they potentially commission you for the next magazine, which is another series of money. So I would do Bow Harbour. And then we've got our awards coming up. But Bow Harbour first, that's in the next week. So if you can all have a go at it, I would have a go. Yeah?
Yep.
Good. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.